Hello friends, how are you today? I'm so happy to be here with you to talk about the Schumann resonance and the current energies. What I see today is essentially a warning, and it's a message for us to consider, and I want to go through that with you and why I see that in the chart. Yesterday, we had this trident in the chart, and I thought that I was only going to make one video for this chart until I woke up and saw this morning, because I made the video sometime in here, okay? But when I saw this, and I saw this figure here, but when I saw this swath of green, like almost a shield, I thought, I gotta say something about this, especially with the crazy energies from yesterday and today right now that I'm perceiving. So if you want to learn more about the trident, it's about bringing justice, okay? And so that's in my video dated, actually it's dated the 27th today, so because since I made it on the 27th. All right, now let's just talk about what I'm seeing here, and I want to show you the images, then the frequencies, amplitudes, and qualities, and then tell you a story around this. So the first thing that you see here is you see this incredible solid green on the chart, and it also appears to be kind of in almost solid bars. You've got these vertical lines going across, and you still have it very thick at 4, 10, and 20 especially. But there are even more vertical lines showing on the chart now, especially here in this more high beta that correspond with the hertz of our high beta brainwaves and close to our gamma brainwaves, which is right here. Gamma's up in here. And you do see a shift as we get closer to the gamma and what the chart looks like, but it's solid, like full of energy here. So I perceive the green as representing kind of the condition of humanity in general. And so for the green, it's like we're checking all the frequencies. It's like every frequency is being analyzed and monitored. And I'm talking now about we're doing that to ourselves and our environment. And I say our environment because look how engaged it is up here. And this green bar of energy here includes 7.86, which is the natural frequency of the planet. But you see, it's not like a solid thin line, like one of these lines or even one of these lines. Okay, it's big, so it's in a broader range than we might think, and this has been the case for as long as I've been looking at the chart, although recently, meaning in the last couple of years, it's been even thicker. Okay, so we still have these kind of unusual lines with a lot of patterning in them. This is essentially at the alpha brainwaves and then at the mid-beta hertz brainwaves. That's what these lines correspond with, and our subconscious. Now, I think it was interesting that this green is essentially coming out of our subconscious, which it's my view that we have access to that in our waking state when we do things like pray, meditate, do energy work, perceive the astral, that kind of stuff, if you have that sixth sense. So let's look at what the images are here, because there were a couple of dramatic images. And this one right here, can you see her? This is like a devil woman, and she has the horns and everything. Let me just show you right here if I can. So it was really interesting to me because I could clearly perceive the horns here. So here you have, there we go. Okay, see how they curl up here? Okay, and they kind of twist. This one goes more straighter up. Then we have these kind of bug eyes and the neck. All right, and then in here you have these, you have the eyes, okay, right in here, and then another one here. And let me see if I can get that one thinner as we look at it together, because do you see, I don't know if you would see what I see in this, but I see a woman, okay? I see a woman, and here's her face, here's the hair, and she has a red shirt or dress on. And maybe her hair might be reddish or brown. But so there's this woman with horns, okay? Kind of those curled ram type horns, looking backwards in the chart. And she's really looking at this 20 hertz area here, which has been filled recently with all this black energy. I mean, it's pretty crazy. It doesn't look very good. And at 20 hertz, this is our mid-beta brainwave, so we're actively engaged in complex thinking here. So we're seeing some shit here. Okay, it's bad. It's not good. And now we've got this devilish woman with twisted ram's horns, who's looking back over this. But interestingly, she comes kind of at the beginning when the energy is more intense. All right, so maybe, because I had this feeling that we're checking the frequencies, maybe we are checking her influence and her frequencies. I'm not sure. Okay, now this was interesting up here. Okay, you have this yellow, okay, which to me relates with the astral, our emotions or thoughts, astral entities or whatever. So that comes up in the green here, but up here, okay, this is what I see here. I see like a kind of like a centipede. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so here's like, you know how they have this body with all these parts and then the feet, and then it just goes on for a really long time, okay? And here's the front of it. And then what I see here is the face of someone, and it looks like our most recent president with blonde hair in the United States. Look at that. I see like this, see the blonde up here, and he's looking forward, but he's kind of face to the left, which is the past. Okay. And then here, this is where like those little spiky things are on the centipede. And I also thought as I looked at it that it could be like an army or a group of individuals that align on similar thought. And then it recalled to me also the Canadian truckers who are literally all in a line. And I was told this morning that it's like, oh gosh, what was it? I don't know, something like 300 or 400 kilometers long, which is like, I don't know, 300 miles. I mean, it's a long line of people, and they are all headed to their nation's capital. It's pretty wild. Okay, so, but yeah, I see him here with the blonde hair, and it's interesting because there was an interesting comment from him yesterday in the news. So we'll see what all this might mean. So I think that there's a reference here to political events as well, and seeing what's going on. And there's a real engagement with assessing the energies, and I'm talking about by the people. The reason I say that is because the green is so actively engaged here. Now, there's an image here, okay? And it's like a person. Okay, and looks like he's, kind of attempting to, like he's pointing his finger here or whatever, like he's assessing the energies, okay? And this is here in the unconscious and the subconscious. So it's almost like he's looking at where the people stand, okay? And he's kind of pointing a finger here. All right. Now, there's another aspect to this. You can see this figure in a second way. Let me show you that. And that is, you can see that there's alternatively, there's a figure here attempting to manipulate what is going on. Okay, so here's one arm, here's the second arm. And this figure is reaching towards this woman of darkness and this line of people here, and the leader of their thinking. Okay. And you could see that there might be attempted manipulation. But the other thing that I see here is something I've seen in the chart before, and I see a woman, okay? And it's a very, very big woman, kind of with a big motherly type of body, okay? Like a wise old crone, okay, woman. And when I see this woman, she reminds me of Mother Nature and Mother Earth, the divine force and nature of the feminine. And she's standing back here looking at what's going on. Now, an interesting thing happened to me yesterday. I had somebody share something with me, and it just seemed like the potential for things not being right was so high in the story that I was told that I flew into a rage. And it wasn't, what it was like was the force of the divine feminine coming through me and saying, no, okay, no, this is not acceptable. And what I felt was the energy of Lilith. And let me explain something about Lilith, because when you look up these feminine archetypes that show in the astrology chart or in stories, you don't get the positive side. You only get like the worst possible description of the energies, okay? And why is that? It's like the power of our femininity, the power of woman is it's very twisted and perverted and manipulated, okay, in the way that this is described. Now, have women acted like this? Sure, okay. But I'm talking about the divinity within. I'm talking about the divine expression of this, okay? And Lilith represents the archetype of the woman who looks at both sides of the issue and sees them lacking. Okay, who looks at both types of men and who are at extremes and find them unworthy. Okay, who looks at two spectrums, two types of behavior on a spectrum at very, very opposite opposing ends, and is disgusted with what she sees. Okay, so I'm talking about the woman in the center. Okay, who's fully connected with her divinity, an aspect of the divine mother that says something better, okay, is required to unfold here. Something that is in alignment with the truth of what divinity is in this moment, of what it wishes to express through us human beings. And whether you're a man or a woman, you have this aspect. Okay, because it's in all of our astrology charts. We all have components of the male and components of the female. Okay, so it just depends how you have this aspected in your chart. I happen to have this aspected fairly strongly. Okay, which is probably why I felt it just so strong. And that caused me to go and look at the astrology chart. And yes, she is moving into a quincunx with Pluto. And that's pretty powerful. Lilith in relationship with Pluto. And let me tell you something. She is tired of his bullshit. Okay? She is tired of it. And she finds it lacking. She finds the ridiculousness of the world is out of control, okay? And she, with Lilith, one has to be careful not to get off the hook, okay? One has to be careful to how one expresses. Because when her energy is ramped up, she's going to be throwing stuff against the wall until the situation is better. All right, so she knows how to create havoc when she sees either end of an opposing force, either polarity, not treating her right. They are going to suffer, and they are going to suffer based on her acting out. She knows how to make someone miserable. Okay, so I'm laughing, but it's also, and, we, in the astrology stories that I've been telling, I've been talking about the story that's going on right now of Ceres, that aspect of the Divine Mother who is nurturing. Okay, she's very different than Lilith, but she's another aspect of womanhood and of the Divine Mother. Okay, and she right now is comforting Sedna. Sedna is the abandoned child, but the abandoned child is actually getting support from what's going on in Capricorn. She's getting support from Pluto, surprisingly, and so is Ceres. Now, what's happening is that the sun is becoming engaged. Mars has just entered Capricorn and is getting very close to the sun. The sun right now is in a semi-sextile with Jupiter, so there's big energies here that the sun is in relationship yet, but you can't quite see it yet because it's a semi-sextile. It's one sign apart. It's like something's helping you, but you don't know quite what it is. But this can be kind of big explosive energies, big emotions when we see something that is not right. It's not right in the world, okay? And it can be from either polarity or from both of them, okay? And we stand in the center. This is where you have the power. And you may have noticed this over the last 2 years, okay? When you stand in your centered, God-given authority, and then you act from there, you are, number one, you are protected. Number two, you're able to express much more clearly because you've chosen to align with the divinity that you are and allow it to come through. So right now, it looks to me like that divinity expressed through human beings is coming for attempted manipulation. It's coming for forcing circumstances. So why at the beginning did I say that there was a warning here in these energies? Okay. It's because if you find yourself out of alignment, right? Standing in that center is where we're aligned with our own soul. Okay, I have a longer video that I'm editing, but I decided to do this one first, where I really go into an explanation about this, and it's awesome. So I think you're going to look forward to that. But where you're standing in the center and you're aligned with your own soul, okay, but if you have stepped out of that center, if you have walked over to one of those polarities, then that Lilith energy, that sun fired by Jupiter, shining a light of transparency, will show the light on what is going on. So what I'm saying is I've just had this sense recently that I have a limited time to address things that if the shit hit the fan, okay, excuse me for using these words today, but if it hit the fan, that I need to have this stuff has got to be stuff that's done, okay, that will better prepare me. And so that's what I'm saying. This is, you see the chart itself looks really calm, okay? But there are these underlying energies. Now let's look at those really quickly. Here's the frequencies, and I've noted before, I mentioned it on the other video, you have this situation where this red is just limited to this extremely, extremely narrow hertz range. So you either have energies compressing there and building tension, or we have cleared our desire to express beyond this into the rest of the red range, which goes lower than this. Okay? So I don't know what the answer is there. I don't know what the answer is. Periodically, we dip down into the low end of that range, all right? And that's what happened once again when the green came across the chart during the spectrogram. It's interesting here because you see that both yellow and red move to the lower end of their ranges as they show on this chart, okay, during that green wave. But white moved up to a very high end of the range, 8.5. That is a really high number for white, okay? And then look here, green up to 27.6. That's also very high. Now, check this out. The green quality is all the way up here to 28, almost as high as our natural kind of high end of the range at 30 to 31. All right. So what's going on here? We feel our true selves and our true feelings. We've connected, all right, during this green wave. And notice that who's at detriment here? Okay. The lower astral goes down to the end of it, to the lower part of its range. The red, the dense energies, the shadow force goes down in quality. Okay. So as we strengthen this, the red and the yellow weaken in the face of our strength. The astral and dense energies are not favored at this time when our humanity comes forth from that center, God-connected, soul-connected feeling. So I used this image for Lilith. I use this image for Lilith because Lilith is going to fuck with you, okay? If you aren't acting right. That's what I'm saying here. So if you have this in your chart, if you have it prominently, and if you're, a guy or a woman, you're going to understand what I mean. If it resonates with you, then you have it prominently in your chart. You don't need to run the chart to know that. You can just feel it. Okay? So you want to look at what your actions are. Yesterday, when I was literally just feeling so strongly, I did not act because I thought that it would probably be better to get to a calmer place. Okay. But that feeling will inform my actions going forward. Okay. And whatever this force represents is attempting to kind of possibly do their personal manipulations at this time, watch out, because Lilith is coming for this force. That's how I see this. And she's backed by the sun. Okay? She's got the sun with Jupiter semi-sextile. There's some big energy hidden behind here. Okay? And I don't know how long it will take for us to see this. But in your personal life, if there's actions that you're taking that aren't in alignment with the truth of who you are, stop that. Stop it now and get back into alignment. God forgives us for anything that we do if we ask, if we choose to return home. That was the key for the prodigal son in the Bible story, okay? He had to choose to return home. And once he did, and he was willing to face his father, no matter what his father would say to him, what did his father do? His father gave him love and forgiveness. And this is what we meet when we humbly, we say, look, I fucked up, okay? And we return home. We connect within with the divine. And this is an inner process. Go within, even if you can't feel it, it's there, that connection with God, and just ask to return home. Ask for assistance with getting back into relationship. And take care on this journey. There's intensity here, okay? But when we rise to these challenges and we act right, we change our lives. We change them for the better.